What's up, Knicks fans? We are so excited to announce that this summer, Fanatics Fest is returning to New York City, taking over the Javits Center from Thursday, July 16th to Sunday, July 19th. Meet your favorite athletes from every major league, including current New York Knicks like Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Knicks legend Patrick Ewing. Catch live podcasts and panels featuring some of the biggest names in sports while experiencing interactive activations from top leagues and brands. You can grab exclusive merch and discover one-of-a-kind memorabilia from sports and entertainment. Buy, sell, and trade collectibles with hundreds of top dealers. Connect with fans around the world who share your passion for sports. Tickets are on sale now at fanaticsfest.com, and when you use promo code KNICKSFILM10 at checkout, you'll get 10% off your purchase. It's an extra day of the world's #1 sports fan festival coming together under one roof, and you don't want to miss it.
Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by Fanatics Sportsbook, where you just heard Andrew Claudio tell you about Fanatics Fest is back in just a couple of months or like 6 months. So somebody to get excited about. But right now, we are here to get excited about something that we have not tasted in, it feels like, I don't know, months, years, decades, perhaps. A win. Boy, did we need this one. I'm a little jumpy because I came into this one with the same feeling as probably a lot of you watching and listening, which was a combination of nerves, agita, of course, anticipation. Can tonight be the night that we bust out of this thing? And just kind of, I think more than anything, and I think this is the thing that drives me crazy when a team that is a good team, and the Knicks, despite what's been happening for the last week or so, are still a good team, is when a good team, starts playing beneath themselves, there is confusion, and you wonder, and you start asking yourself questions. And I have been asking myself questions, both in front of this camera and microphone and in the newsletter and on my own personal time, which is totally healthy. Not a problem at all. Like, why is this happening? And more important than why is it happening, can it be solved with any degree of expediency, of finality? And, you talk to yourself, you talk to other fans, the whole thing. At the end of the day, team just has to go out there and play a decent basketball game. And the Knicks did that tonight for the first time in a while. Look, a lot of things have been said over the last few days. Is one win going to make all of those things go away? No. Like, the issues that existed with this team, both the ones that we've been talking about throughout the entirety of the season and some of the new ones that I think have cropped up over the last few days, those issues are still here. But I think the Knicks had reached a point where, more than anything, they just needed to get back to feeling good about themselves. And as I said before, getting back to playing good basketball. And there's no question they did that tonight. And I think they did it in a way that was encouraging on several fronts. They got back to some of the offensive principles that we started the year with under Mike Brown. They played, I would say, and this is going to sound crazy because James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, had their way with them, for a lot of this game. I thought they defended well, or let me rephrase that. I thought they defended soundly, which is to say, when you look at the final stat line and you look at Kawhi Leonard, 25 points on 20 shots, James Harden, 23 points on 17 shots, those stat lines aren't going to kill you. And yeah, both of those guys got theirs at various points in time. But I love how the Knicks adjusted as the game went on. I think they started guarding James Harden differently, making sure they were taking away that step back off the dribble 3 option and forcing him. And Benji tweeted about this during the game. Force him to beat you inside, where he is a step slower now, and he does show his age, unlike from behind the arc. And then OG going to work, I thought, on Kawhi Leonard, Mikal Bridges as well. And just in general, I thought the team showed pretty sound principles defensively. Yeah, it helps to have a guy like Chris Dunn on the court who's going to, potentially go 1 of 6 from deep like he did tonight. Got a little bit lucky with some of the others. Brook Lopez didn't hit as many threes as he has been for a while. But look, they defended well. They gave up 111 points to a team that has been scoring at will for the better part of the last 3 weeks. And I want to just get one thing out of the way off the top before I get into some specific praise. And oh boy, are we going to deliver some specific praise to a few players tonight. I don't want to hear anything about that they beat a 13 and now 23 team. Or maybe actually they're 13 and 24. I don't know if ESPN has updated yet. This Clipper team has the second best net rating in the league over the last 2 weeks. They have been one of the best teams in basketball, full stop. I'm actually pulling up their record right now. Yes, they lost recently to the Boston Celtics, but before that, they had won 6 games in a row. So really since December 20th, which is not nothing. That's a span of 2.5 weeks. They've been playing exceptional basketball. They've actually been defending a little bit. So this is a real win. And so especially a real win because the Clippers came out and I thought they put it to the Knicks up 14-5, which was, I won't say it resembled the Detroit game in the first 4 minutes, but the defense I thought absolutely resembled the Detroit game in the first 4 minutes. And then Mike Brown called that timeout. And I think things started to change really right out of that timeout. So credit to Mike Brown, whatever the hell he said in there. And then also credit to some of the guys who came in and changed the energy. But last thing before I get to the individual praise, the other thing that I really liked about this win, and I think should be very encouraging for a team that you wondered, especially after the comments, and we talked about him on the last post game, a team where Popper and Bondi both tweeted out something to the effect of they had to talk out some issues, amongst themselves in the locker room. It sounds an awful lot like a players only meeting. That term wasn't used, but whatever. They had to talk some things out. So you love that it was a team win. You love that you look up and down the roster. 13 guys played genuine, real rotation minutes tonight. And I thought 9 guys played genuine, real rotation minutes tonight. And I thought 9 guys contributed to this win in a positive way. Not 6, not 7, not 8, all 9 guys who played real rotation minutes. And with the exception of Tyler Kolek playing and Josh Hart being on the bench, it was the 9 guys that you expected to be the rotation at the start of the year, which is maybe the closest we've come to that all season long. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to go back, but we haven't had a lot of games this season where even 8 of the 9 presumed rotation players all played significant minutes and certainly all played well. That has not happened very often. So all that stuff is great. Lots of stuff to be happy about. Lots of stuff to praise tonight. And while it is a great team win and it is great for this team to get back on track, I would be remiss to start anywhere other than Deuce McBride. And look, if you didn't watch this game and you just looked at the box score, you're starting with Deuce McBride. OG Anunoby had 20 points on 10 shots. Karl-Anthony Towns almost had a triple-double. Jalen Brunson had 26 points on 12 shots. Yabusele, perfect from 3. Pretty sure it's the only time you could say that on multiple attempts so far this season. And you go up and down, Jordan Clarkson, 5 and 9 from the field. Tyler Kolek, a team high plus 18. How you doing? We're going to get back to Tyler Kolek. Why, Macri, are you starting with the guy who needed 15 shots to get his 16 points and was actually a -1 for the game? And that's where you got to watch the basketball, which I know everybody watching this one did, or watching me or listening to me now, or most of you I'm sure did. When a team is in a slump, and they have obviously been in a slump, you need someone to pull you out of it. And I think Deuce McBride over the last several games has been trying his damnedest to do exactly that. But to no avail because nobody else was along with him for the ride. And so what do we hear before this game after starting the Mitchell Robinson starting five the last couple of games and getting off to, absolutely abhorrent starts in those games? He started Deuce tonight, which against this lineup and against a team featuring James Harden, I think made a lot of sense, but you still have to do it. And Mike Brown finally did it. So I think that was step one. And then, we got through the first quarter and it was okay. They ended the first quarter 31-27 and honestly felt like they were maybe a little fortunate to only be down 4 after that first quarter. And then what happens right at the top of the second quarter? LA Clippers, it was a mishmash of plays, some bad stuff on the offensive end. The Clippers get 2 straight threes. They're up 37 to, it was a 6-0 run. So actually, I'm not sure if that's where they went up by 9. I have the freaking play-by-play right here. I could just look this up. Why am I guessing? No, it wasn't. It wasn't 6 straight points to begin the period because Deuce actually hit a 3 to start the period. And it was 3 points of a Deuce McBride personal 9-0 run that also contained a block shot on, I'm pretty sure it was a block shot on Kawhi Leonard. Although, again, another thing that I could look up because I have the freaking box score with me right here. Kobe Sanders, excuse me, not quite Kawhi Leonard. And I thought that stretch from Deuce and the last of those 3-pointers from Deuce got him back to within 37-36. I don't know what it was, but there was something about the start of that second quarter that I got that feeling watching it where I was like, oh no, this game is going to go the same way the Detroit game went. This game is going to go the same way the Sixers game went. And it was like Deuce was like, no, I'm not going to let it happen. And that wasn't it. He continued to make big plays throughout the rest of the game. I thought his offensive rebound off of a missed cat free throw that led to the Jalen Brunson 3 that put the Knicks up 66-64 when they really, I don't think before that, I don't know if they had led for the entirety of the game, not since like beginning of the first quarter. I thought that was absolutely massive. I thought his mid-ranger, which was very reminiscent of like one of those Jalen Brunson, like everybody settle down mid-rangers, that made it 99-92 after so the Knicks had gone up, I forget, by double digits. Clippers came back with some consecutive buckets. They looked like they were trying to make a push, and Deuce hits that too to calm everything down. So if ever there was a 6 of 15 night that deserves like praise over and above everybody else, I think it was the night that Deuce had. And it's not just the shots that he hit or the block or whatever else. It is the spirit and the competitive fire that he brings onto the court every single minute that he plays. And that is what this team needed more than anything else. And he is, I mean, right now you could argue that he's like their, with Josh Hart out, that he is their heart and soul. And it's just a beautiful thing to watch for a homegrown kid who I and many other people have put in this fake trade and that fake trade, for years now. God knows where would this team be without Deuce McBride, who, again, as people were tweeting out earlier, I know he kind of cooled off eventually, but he has been shooting it as well as anyone. So I had to just start out with a little bit of praise for Deuce because I know they won the game by a dozen points. I genuinely don't think they win this game if Deuce McBride is not playing in it. That's how important I think he was tonight. And then from there, we could go in a lot of different directions. I'm going to go with the next most relevant direction for me, which was Karl-Anthony Towns. I went in on Cat pretty hard last postgame. I went in on him a little bit today in the newsletter. I've been going in on him, well, I actually, no, that's not fair. I've cooled off since the beginning of the season. I went on him obviously very hard at the beginning of the season. And whenever I do that, and People who watch all of these shows know that this is the case, because there are games where he will have a bad game. And I will get on here, and whether he shot bad or maybe didn't take a lot of shots, and I'll say, look, he wasn't actively detrimental tonight, and he played within himself, and he still found ways to contribute, whether that was on the defensive glass or just being a floor spacer or any of those sorts of things. The times when I get upset with Mr. Towns are when I feel like he is bringing off-court stuff with him onto the court, and it is very clearly impacting his level of engagement and his level of effort. And I thought we saw that in spades against the Pistons. And I got to be honest with you, I thought we saw that at the start of this game. And he was putting his head down and he was trying to drive and it wasn't going very well. And he was getting absolutely manhandled on the defensive glass by Ivica Zubac, who, look, Zoo does that to a lot of guys. So I don't think, Towns should feel that much shame in that, although, come on. But I thought by the end of the game, he found something. And I think the way he found something ties into 2 point guards in two different ways. I do not think it should be lost on anyone that when Towns really got going and when Towns really started looking like himself on the offensive end primarily, but don't forget he had a key steal in the fourth quarter, showing a little bit more engagement on the defensive end. I do not think it should be lost on anyone that came when Tyler Kolek was in the game. And the numbers with Kolek and Towns this season, I'll pull them up right now, have been exceptional. Not good, not great, exceptional. There is something about having Kolek out there. Now, before I get to my next point and the other point guard that I want to talk about in the context of Towns, I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, it's Kolek that is activating Towns and he knows how and where to find him. Or maybe it's Towns, something in him is like when Brunson's off the floor, something in him awakens. I don't know, but I do know that I saw a different version of that guy when he was on the floor with Kolek. And we've seen, I would argue, the best version of Towns all season long when he has been on the floor with Tyler Kolek. And again, you saw that tonight. But to really end this on a high note, the point about Towns, I thought down the stretch, when it was winning time, what did you see repeatedly on offensive possession after offensive possession from the Knicks offense? You saw the Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson pick and roll. And those two players, who are obviously the two most talented players on the Knicks, have kind of dipped in and out of how frequently they use that, a play that, you might suggest that they should just be spamming ad nauseum. And also how effective that play has been, in part because of Towns screening and in part because of some other reasons. But they went to it again and again and again. And I thought the Clippers defense had no idea what to do with it. And it obviously helped the Knicks hammer this one home and close out the win. The numbers, by the way, for Kolek and Towns, and this is not updated from this game, plus 15.1 per 100 possessions. The offense is very good, 118.3. They're giving up 103.3 points per 100 possessions. You want to talk about an elite number? That's as elite as you're going to get. And this is not a tiny sample size. This is 524 possessions at this point, which is like, that's a real number. If you take Brunson off the court, just in case anyone's wondering, the numbers go down a little bit, but it's still plus 12.4. Offense gets a little bit worse. Defense actually gets a little bit worse, which is interesting. But it's still plus 12.4 and 468 possessions. So those two guys making magic together. Shout out to Tyler Kolek. I know he didn't score a lot of points tonight. I don't think he even had many assists. Well, actually, what do I know? 5 assists in 14 minutes. How you doing? To go with 4 rebounds. I thought his impact and his energy was awesome. And I love that they mic'd him up tonight because it let you know just how intense he is, whether he's on the court or off the court, for the entirety of the 48 minutes, and obviously the whole, 2.5 hours and probably through pregame warmups. I noticed I don't know if he's been doing this all year. I don't know if I just haven't noticed it until now. But Kolek being the guy that leads them out of the tunnel, they showed that, I think, online, actually. I saw it in a tweet. Like, there is really something about this kid, and you love that. And then from there, I could go in a few different directions. It's funny. I'm staring at Brunson's stat line, and I'm staring at OG Anunoby, and I kind of want to talk about Jordan Clarkson, because Jordan Clarkson, along with Deuce and Kolek, I thought Clarkson's energy at the top of the game was really important. I thought he made some shots. He gives them a little bit more of a live wire. I thought that was valuable. And then talk about praising guys who maybe we don't praise as often as well, maybe not as often as we should, as often as we would have liked to start before the start of the season. Thanks for participating, Gershon Yabusele. That was the best game he's played as a Knick. And it's not only because he hit both of his threes. Like, I thought he was like an active presence. Yeah, Harden got him once, and he had one or two other maybe moments, but I thought this was Yabusele's best overall game. And then, we could end on, a good game from Bridges. You know what? They needed Bridges tonight defensively more than anything. The fact that they got 9 rebounds and 5 assists out of him is a great bonus. 9 rebounds for Bridges is awesome. But nice to see him get back on track a little bit. And so let's end with Brunson and OG, because both of those guys have come under, everybody's come under fire. But both of those guys, I think in particular, have come under a very unique fire. Because for OG, he was passive the last game, and his defense has not been where you need it. Both of those things corrected tonight. Was he peak OG on defense? No, but I loved when he got that steal on Kawhi Leonard, his former teammate, a guy he emulates and looks up to. I thought that was a very cool play, a cool moment. But he was aggressive, and I thought he was aggressive in the right ways. Yes, he's still passing the ball probably a little bit more than you'd like in terms of trying to make live dribble passes. Not his strength. You saw that in some early turnovers. But you know what? If that's going to keep him engaged and really focused on everything he needs to do, I'll take it. And 8 for 10 for 20 points, that dog will hunt. And then, of course, last but not least, Jalen Brunson. You knew the captain was going to show up tonight. Like, there was just no way, coming off of what I think we can comfortably call his worst game of the season against the Detroit Pistons. I know he scored points. I know there wasn't a whole lot of movement on offense around him. I know he was kind of efficient for a while in that game. Jalen Brunson's top qualification, even ahead of being one of the most dangerous isolation scorers in the league, which he is. When you wear that C on your jersey, I don't think they actually have a C on his jersey, but if they did, it would be a reminder that he is the captain. And your number one job as the captain is to lead your team, and lead your team off the court, and probably more importantly, lead your team on the court as well. And we're going to go over our best bets for Fanatics Sportsbook in a minute. But my best bet, I didn't even think twice about it. I said, give me the Jalen Brunson over on assists. Now, ironically, spoiler alert, I cleared it, but I just barely cleared it. But I thought what you saw from Brunson right out of the gate was an effort to get everybody involved. And he even threw probably a pass early on that he shouldn't have. It was one of his 2 turnovers of the night that led to a fast break, I think, for the Clippers. But I thought the mindset and the mentality that he came out with was exactly what you want to see, again, from your captain, from your leader. And then on top of that, to get freaking 26 points on a dozen shots and go 4 or 5 from deep. Like, that's a reminder that this guy, you might slow him down for a game or two. You ain't holding him down for long. You're just not. And so it was a big time bounce back performance from Jalen Brunson. I'm sure he's going to be fine. And then as far as the team, at large, 4-game West Coast road trip right now. Those can be obviously tough. Goes without saying. But they can also be unifying. And we've heard Knicks teams and other teams over the years talk about how, road trips are time when people come together and guys, spend more time than they do when they're home and they get to go home to their own beds and the whole thing. Honestly, maybe that's what this team needs more than anything, and the fact that they get to now start that road trip coming off a win, feeling pretty good about themselves. I think that's really important. And I just think they just needed a win. They needed a good performance tonight. I'm not going to say they needed a win. As I always say, there's no such thing as much must-win games in November, December, January, February, any of that. They needed to show up tonight, especially at home. Especially at home, where they didn't obviously show up in their last couple of home games. So it was great to see. Congratulations, Deuce McBride, Defensive Player of the Game. That's awesome. Second place, by the way, your New York Knicks are back in second place because Boston lost tonight to Denver in the Boston Garden without Nikola Jokic, who obviously is going to be out for a while. So it's nice that the Knicks are back in second place, half game ahead of Boston, even though they are now 4 back of Detroit. Look, if Detroit goes and runs away with the Eastern Conference, so be it. I do think it is important for them to have a top 2 seed. I would not want to have to go on the road and be the underdog or technically the underdog in multiple playoff series. Possible, starting on the road in the Eastern Conference Finals, I would take that. But a lot of work to do before we get there. It's funny, you look up, and I don't think I've actually said this on any of the pods, but I'll say it now. It's crazy that the second, third, fourth, and fifth best teams in the Eastern Conference, record-wise at least, are all in the Atlantic Division. And meanwhile, the Brooklyn Nets they're coming, baby. Another win tonight. They actually lost tonight, by 1 point to the Orlando Magic, but that was a tight game. So they're the Knicks, you could argue they're in the best division in the sport, which doesn't make their life any easier, but they're in first in that division as of right now. So that's good. And then you just got to try to keep racking up wins on this road trip here. Trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to talk about. There's other stuff that'll come up tonight. I know the Washington, Trey going to the Wizards is a hot topic. I will save my thoughts on the likelihood of getting that top 8 protected pick for whenever somebody brings it up in a super chat. But let's get to the show. I'm excited for this one.
Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Not available in all states. Terms apply. See the Fanatics Sportsbook app.